top of the morning, and it is a beaut.
And the hope of the Irish as the future champion of the world.
A podcast is kind of like it's like a radio show that's not on the radio.
Welcome to the Barry J. McDonald podcast. The place where dreams get dusted off and acted on. Because life is too short. We're living on a rock that's flying through space, and hey, what the hell else were you going to do with yourself here?
Hi, this is Barry here, and you are very, very welcome to today's podcast episode. Now, today I want you to be happy, but I want you to be dissatisfied. I'll explain in a moment. Now, I think for a lot of us, we want to get to the finish line of this life. We want to look back and we want to say, you know something, I'm happy with what I did on this planet. You know, not everything was perfect, but if I added up all those happy moments, there's a lot more happier moments than sad moments. So my life was a happy life, which is a great goal to have. But sometimes happiness can have its flaws, because sometimes it can make us lazy, it can make us content, and it can lead us to believe that things are always going to be this way, or we don't need to take action, that it'll always be like this. But you know that things can change. You know, you'll find that you're happier on Christmas Eve than you are on Christmas evening. You'll find that you're happier driving a brand new car off the car lot than actually sitting in that car and driving it 10 years later. And the things that excite you and bring you joy today are probably going to taper off as they become more of your life. You know, the objects, the people around you right now, fantastic and all as they are, and the things, the joy they bring you, again, will become, you know, not as much, because you'll get so used to them. You'll assume they're always going to be there. And sometimes those moments of happiness are fleeting. But there is a good way to get it back, and that is to be grateful. And that is to, you know, even though we might be thinking to ourselves, well, I'm not living my best life. I haven't got the best house. I haven't got a lot of money. I haven't got this. I haven't got that. Is to compare ourselves maybe with someone maybe who's living in a third world country, or someone who lived, you know, a couple of 100 years ago. I'm sure if we took you over to a third world country, I'm sure you'd probably see that the conditions over there are miserable compared to what you have right now. And again, if we got in a time machine, gone back a couple of 100 years, I'm sure you'd find that the homes people lived in, you know, no glass, no windows, maybe no doors, no plumbing, you know, no Wi-Fi, no food on a constant basis. You know, I'm sure they would look at us and they'd probably see us living like kings and queens and wonder why we complain. And sometimes, you know, it's easy to take all the things around us for granted because they're always there. And sometimes it does kind of, you know, be in our benefit to just pause for a moment and just realise, well, what if all these things were taken away from us? What if my family was taken away from me? What if my health was taken away from me? What if my job, my income, my home? What if all this was taken away? Or even my freedom? What if my freedom was taken away from me? I'm sure when you start taking things away from your life, you'll start to realise how much you have. Now, I used to think that dissatisfaction was a bad thing. You know, I probably have heard it before when I was growing up, that you shouldn't be dissatisfied. You should be satisfied and you should be happy with what you have. But I think dissatisfaction allows us to see things that can be better, things that can be improved, and not to settle for where we are, because where we are will change unless we keep up. You know, as I said many times, life is a conveyor belt and it has a habit of changing. You know, we mightn't like it to change. We might like this happy moment to go on forever, but you can guarantee that it's going to change, that things are going to happen in our life. You know, a meteor could fall out of the sky today and it could make a big difference in our lives. So life is constantly changing. And if we're not keeping up with the conveyor belt, you know, we'll fall further and further behind. You know, dissatisfaction probably is part of nature as well too. You know, if you walk around in the forest or whatever, you'll always find that the trees are trying to compete with each other. They're always trying to get as tall as they can. You know, they're always trying to be as green as they can. They're always trying to attract as many insects as they can, because it's trying to be more than it is. And probably maybe because we're part of nature, that's probably inside us as well too. You know, there's a part of us that always wants to be better, to be bigger, to be better looking, to have more money, to drive a faster car. And that it isn't actually a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. You know, dissatisfaction gives us something to aim for, something to work toward, and something to become. Because it knows that, you know, our happiness lies in not sitting on our butt doing nothing, but in actually finding a goal and focusing our time, our energy on it, and becoming more than we are. You know, if you look at a dog who's asleep on the porch, you know, he might seem happy, he might seem content as he's sleeping away there. But the first chance he sees a rabbit and chases after it, I'm sure you'll see a big difference in that dog because he's a goal, he's got a target, and you'll find him wagging his tail a lot harder than when he was lying on the porch. And that's because he's up and he's taking action and he's got something to aim for. And so it is with us. You know, so we should be grateful for what we have, you know, because we do have so much. But we also need to realise that, like nature, we can become more, we can have more, we can do more. And when we have more and do more, you know, we can use it on the one thing that is guaranteed to bring us happiness, and that's to give more. Because you'll realise that, you know, true happiness isn't from receiving. You know, we might have taught that when we were younger. You know, it's nice to receive presents from everyone. But as you get older, you know, it's nice to give to people, to surprise them, to give them something that they weren't expecting. And that makes us happier, sometimes even happier than the people who receive the present. So, while dissatisfaction might seem like a negative thing, we can use it to our advantage. We can use it to say, I'm not happy where I am right now. I know I can be better than this. I know I can be slimmer. I know I can be a better writer. I know I can have a better business. I know I can be a better spouse. I know I can have a better car. And constantly striving for those things will make us become more. And those extra things that we have then, we can share them with other people. We can give them. And we can make a difference in their lives. And that will make us happy because, as I said, sometimes giving brings a lot more happiness than receiving. So be happy with what you have. You know, be grateful for what you have. But also be dissatisfied because you can always be more. You can always have more. And you can always make a bigger difference in the world. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.
Before you go, Barry would like to give you a free copy of Words to Wealth. In it, he's going to show you 10 ways to make money from writing. Head on over to writecome.com now for your copy. Have a great day and come back soon.